Good everyone, my name is Graphics. Today we want to talk about circuits. We say that circuit is a closed loop through which current flows, or will I say through which electron flow, because it's the movement of electrons that brings about current, right? Now, one thing you need to know is that a circuit is a closed path, right? Like if you look at this, these are some examples of the circuit. Let's assume that we are starting from point A, we're going to what B, this is C, and this is what D. Let's say A, B, C, and what D. Let's say A, B, C, and D. So from A, it starts from a point and end at that point, right? It starts from a point and end at that point. So we say a circuit is a closed path in which or through which electrons flow. Now, one important thing you need to understand is that in a circuit is made up of elements, and your elements are the building block of the circuit, and they can either be passive or active. Now, when you say a passive element is an element that consume energy in the circuit. Some passive elements consume energy and also distribute, right? Example of a passive element is your resistor. Now this is a resistor, right? So we have three resistors here. So for we to identify a resistor, we use the symbol arrow, the letter arrow, to represent what? A resistor. And the symbol is this. Either you use this or you use something like this, any of the two. Now this is resistor 1, this is resistor 2, and this is what? Resistor 3. So we have three resistors in this circuit, right? Now, apart from a resistor that is a passive element, another passive element is a capacitor. Now, capacitor, we say, it stores charge in form of what? Static energy. The resistor doesn't store charge. It dissipates heat, right? Because it helps to resist the flow of current. Now, the capacitor stores charge, right? And in form of what? Static energy. Now, this is how you represent a capacitor, using a symbol like two lines that are parallel to each other, the same height, right? So this is, we call this C1. We use C to denote a capacitor, C1. Then the next one is what? We have C2, and we have what? C3, right? So we have three capacitors in this circuit. Is that okay now? This EEC is air gap. Now, if you look at this, I didn't tell you this. In terms of resistor, it is measured in what? In ohms. Ohms. Either you use this symbol to denote ohms, this ohms. We use this to denote our ohms, right? Or you just write your ohms, but it's better for you to use this in form of, it looks like an omega sign. Now, capacitor, we use farad to represent the capacitor, the unit of a capacitor. So we have C1, C2, and C3. Now the next passive element that we have is an inductor. So this is how we represent an inductor, right? So I will say we have three inductor here, which is what? This is inductor 1, L1, L2, and what? L3. So we use L to represent what? Inductor. So these are some of the elements you'll be coming across in the course of this lecture or course of this course, right? But basically you see more of what? Of resistors. So in case you see any of this, you should know that we are all saying the same thing. Now, in this lecture, aside from we having passive elements, we also have what is called the active element. The active element are elements that what? That produces energy in the circuit. They give out energy. A good example of a passive element is your battery. Now, if it is just a single one this way, if I just have a single one this way, we call it a cell. But when it's now double or triple, you call it a battery. A battery, a cell makes up a battery, right? Now, what does this do? We also call it, this is the voltage source. We usually call it in form of what we say VS, meaning voltage supply, where the longer side here is the positive and the shorter side here is the negative, right? What does the voltage do? The voltage produces what is called the current. I will call that our I, using our small letter to represent it. And in some textbooks, they use their capital letter, but we use the small I to represent the current. Now, the voltage is measured in what? In volts, while the current is measured in what? In ampere, right? And the resistor is measured in what? In ohms. Now, every resistor has its value. We call the value the resistance, right? So the value of the resistor is called the resistance, and it ranges. Now the next one we move forward is another way of writing an active element. This is a voltage source, right? This is another voltage source. You see this, we'll call it an independent voltage source, right? Why you see this is called a dependent voltage source. Now, when you mean an independent and dependent, we're always talking about, for instance, now you are in a place and an incident occurred. Then a third party came and asked what happened. Now, the third party depended on you to tell him or her what has really happened at that scene. So you there are the independent source, while the person asking you is the dependent source. Is that okay now? So this is what we'll talk. So this is what we discussed. We've talked about the passive element, and we talked about the active element. We said they are what? The building block of a circuit. Now, another kind of passive element that we have, your generator can be an active element also. Your generator is an active element, and so on and so forth. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to click on the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.